Hello and welcome another edition of Tamara Tuesdays. Every single Tuesday we're going to be talking with Tamara Siemon, EliteMindsetDevelopment.com. But we've been getting so many questions after some of our live presentations that we really wanted to just kind of give Tamara her time and her space and answer some questions that are coming in from parents. But first and foremost, Tamara, thank you so much for taking the time to join me today.
Thank you, Coach. Happy to be here.
I am looking forward to this. This is something that I really hope that those parents and student athletes that find their way, whether it's to the podcast or the broadcast on YouTube or X, really take the time to understand, much like strength training and hitting lessons and pitching lessons, mental performance now has become at the big league levels, at the professional levels, the college levels, Team USA, every single program has a mental performance coach. And so there is no stigma. I guess sometimes parents will say, well, I don't want my son or daughter to feel like they're, seeking help. It's really, not only is it something that is very, very um, welcomed at the colleges and professional levels, but now at the high school levels as well, because let's cut it to the chase, is performance anxiety. So Tamara, I think you would agree that this is becoming part of the youth sports infrastructure. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And I don't think we can teach these skills soon enough. Obviously, we cater them to the age group, but these are life skills.
Right.
That's really what it boils down to. And quite frankly, I'm sitting here as I absorb and consume all of your media, right, about college recruiting because I have a rising senior. It did dawn on me that it's a marketing asset for these kids to be able to say, let me tell you how tenacious I am. Let me give you some examples. Let me explain to you this failure and what I did about it, right? Like we need to communicate these things because high school kids, there's like a blanket statement that, oh, well, they're too young, they don't know how to be away from home, they don't know how to do their laundry, they don't know how to handle anything. And so if anything, I would say I'm going to try to teach you guys to figure yourselves out more quickly so you can fight that argument and you can create the opportunities that you want. And in the meantime, these are life skills, so like it's a win-win.
And I think it's really important for parents and athletes to begin to figure out the best coach or mentor that you will ever have as an athlete, a student athlete, is yourself. Being able to self correct and self coach physically, mentally, and understand that being pushed to a certain limit is where the weight of expectation is lifted, and now you're going beyond those personal preset barriers, and you don't know what you're capable of until you're actually pushed to that point of okay, I know I can do this. Take a deep breath, go give it all you can. And I think that is really an integral part, and as Tamara said, at the youth sports level, is teaching children how to communicate, how to express themselves, how to compete with composure, with poise. And so today, we are going to be talking and answering questions specifically about creating a supportive environment to reduce anxiety and boost confidence in young athletes. And I can tell you, confidence is something that I think is a foundation piece for athletes, because they're nervous because they look around and they see others that are bigger, faster, stronger. And so confidence comes from within. And so, Tamara, would you say that's something that, what a middle schooler, the 10-year-old, the 16, 17-year-old really needs to begin to build as early as 10 years old?
Yes. And that's why every time you and I connect, the subject of confidence always comes up in some shape or form. Kids who are very elite from a skill level, it's interesting when I talk to them about stable versus fragile confidence. Fragile is I'm only confident if the numbers say I am. If I just had a big game, I'm confident. That's fragile, right? So you're outcome focused. But stable is, man, I've been working hard and whether that shows today or not, I'll make an adjustment. But the bottom line is, I know I'm a good pitcher. I know I'm a good hitter. I've been training, right? And I intrinsically know these things. I'm not going to listen to the noise out here trying to tell me differently. So it's interesting. I say that to say we have focused so much on the physical skills, and that's why kids are stronger, faster, better at a younger age comparatively. But the mental piece is lagging, right? And I wish we could do them in tandem. It's that important.
Well, I want parents and athletes to understand, one, it's okay to begin to prepare a mental performance approach or plan. I know many that I have, assisted with connecting with Tamara, and they are high school athletes, junior high school or middle school athletes, college athletes. So this is not a 10 to 12 year old. This is a all facets, men's, women's, sports, junior high, middle school, high school, college, and professional athletics. So I encourage you to keep sending in these questions. I will do my best, but I want to encourage parents again, elitemindsetdevelopment.com. You hit that little contact button down below. That connects you directly to Tamara, and you are going directly to her. So your communication is not going to me. It's not going to anybody else. So it's private, and I want to assure you, all of the people that at least that I have interacted with that are working with Tamara or have worked with Tamara have had tremendous, tremendous results. So I really want to encourage you to go ahead if you have a question or if you have a concern to reach out to Tamara. And I'm going to start with a question today. And this is a West Coast question. And I got this from a softball family. And I thought really intriguing questions. And this one is, what are the most common ways that coaches or parents unintentionally increase anxiety in young athletes? And how can parents and coaches adjust their approach to create a more supportive environment for the student athlete?
Such a good
I
question.
agree. Yeah, that's what I wanted first.
And I answer this transparently, saying that I have made all of these mistakes and I have to use my own checklist of these answers to set myself up. Because as parents, we want the best for our kids, right? And we will stop at nothing at times to make that happen. But if we're always talking about the game or practice, it's always, kids get older, you don't see them as much. Then you have these smaller windows with kids, and all they hear is nagging. Mom's only talking to me about baseball. I've been guilty of that because I know he loves it and I know he cares, but all he ever hears from me is baseball. He thinks that's all I care about. It starts to become frustrating. The enjoyment of it starts to fizzle a little bit. It starts to feel like a chore. So if we're constantly talking about it, if we're really focused on the results, almost like we're criticizing, and I'm not saying we can't have a frank conversation, but we got to be able to read the room. If the kid's playing in games all day and it's 100 degrees, they're going to fall asleep in the car on the way home and they don't want to answer questions.
Right.
So let's read the room. That's self-awareness, guilty as charged, been there, done that. Let's make sure they have time away from the sport and that we talk about that. Like my son, sorry, this is long winded. My son recently discovered he loves fishing, and we are landlocked in Atlanta, so we got to get a little creative. But besides that, I want to try to intentionally talk to him about that or find a fishing hole 30 minutes away that has nothing to do with baseball so he knows that I see him and that I value him as a person and not just a baseball player. I hope that helps. I think from a coaching perspective, I think it's pretty much the same. Like we know that if I know you've got my back and you really care, if you're my coach, I'm going to run through a brick wall for you and I'm going to welcome your feedback, constructive or otherwise. But if you never have anything good to say and you only really seem to care about what I produce on the field, it's a little harder. So I think we just need to get to know kids, right? And care about them and like know what's going on with them. And when they know that we care and we're here, we can help them shift and lock in. And I just think they'll be more willing to accept what we have to say.
Yeah, I think it's really important for coaches. When I was coaching, whether it be high school or college, I would always have like a bag of big league chew bubble gum in my back pocket. A really big game or a tense situation in the game, I'd just walk up to an athlete and just say, sour apple or wild cherry, and kind of get them to kind of, oh man, okay, I'm a sour apple. And so we're talking suddenly about bubble gum. And then the next thing is like, hey, go get them, like, so coaches, you really want to make sure that it's not the expectation of the results, it's just the expectations of the positive attitude and being an energetic, enthusiastic teammate. And in whatever way you want to convey that, I think really will help, especially with regard to the younger athletes, because all we can do is give our best effort at
Coach,
the end.
I want to say one thing to that. I'm
Sure.
sorry, but um, you just said it perfectly. What I witnessed last weekend, and this is with rising seniors and rising college freshmen softball players who are committed. Although I didn't agree with the style of the team we were playing and the way the coach said it, he was barking at them something like, don't be afraid to fail.
Right.
I believe in you. Like, I didn't like his delivery. That's besides the point. It was the first time I'd ever heard a coach say, you can, just so loudly. It was like almost obnoxious. It was too much, but you can do this. I don't care about failure. As if it was almost like we heard a private conversation between him and the athlete, but he told the whole field. But
Right.
I loved that because then I was looking at the athlete and they dug in and had some good at bats after that. So I said, okay, there's something to that. He didn't talk at all about the result. He just talked about, he's like, I believe in you. Dig in and compete. Don't be afraid to fail. I thought that was awesome.
I think it's great that we really allow athletes to understand that through failure, we are going to learn something. In other words, if we're going to learn how to be better at something, possibly in the next opportunity. But, Chris Pollard, who's now the new head coach at Duke, will always say the best athletes are the ones that embrace failure, meaning we don't know when it will occur, but when it does occur, embrace that and figure out, okay, what went through my mind, what can I do differently, learn from that, and then make the necessary adjustments if they're mental or so forth. Physical errors are going to happen, but I really think we learn through failure, whether it's a 3-2 fastball as opposed to a 3-2 changeup. Those are the types of things that I think more athletes need to understand. We're all going to fall, we're all going to fail, we're all going to lose. What are we learning from it?
Yep.
Let's see. Question 2 comes in from the great Midwest, outside of Lincoln, Nebraska. How can team dynamics, such as fostering positive teammate relationships or team building activities, help reduce anxiety and build confidence in young athletes?
I loved this question too because it illustrates such an important point. In a team dynamic, if we choose to really get to know our teammates, what they need, what's going on with them, like we're bonded and connected, and we focus on them and the thrill of their at bat versus just what we do, it's almost like our challenges disappear because 1 to 9, 1 to 11, whatever you're batting, everyone does this. Everyone has an amazing game and then a crap game, right? Everyone has to make adjustments. And so I feel like when we remove the focus from ourselves and what we've produced and focus on being the best teammate and studying the game and sharing intel and having fun, right? Like that dynamic, it can't help but reduce our own anxiety. We can't focus. You can't focus on these two things at once, right? You care about your teammate and helping them and encouraging them. And I've seen it. You've seen it thousands of times. So focusing on others and also it normalizes the struggle. Like we all struggle. Failure is feedback for all of us at your age, my age, and when you're 12. So we can't say that enough. Like, you're not the only one who didn't hit a home run today or didn't have a beautiful barrel line drive. Like, look around, it's right there.
I think the best thing I've ever done as a coach was after a particular game, very gut wrenching 2-1 loss against a very, very strong opponent. I went into the dugout and I basically looked at both teams. And let's just say that, both teams had 35 at bats collectively as both teams. And between the two teams, there were 9 hits, like it was 6 or 3 or something like that. We had 6 hits, they had 3, but they won. And my point to them was, there's a lot of offers in here. It's not just one person. There's a lot of situations where all of us could have had an opportunity to influence an outcome. It's simply a game to measure and move the needle forward. If you want to move it back, that's not going to help us or you. And so when you start, and I've heard Tamara say this a million times, when you start to think in the plural as opposed to the singular, like it's not your game, it's our game. It's not my at bat, it's our at bat. Your at bat is going to help move base runners along, or your pitching ability is going to help your team keep runners off a scoring position. So it's a very team oriented. So I think when you bring this to the attention, particularly of young high school athletes, celebrate in your team's success. It will take the weight off of your personal expectations, over the course of a season.
I want to share one quick thing just
Sure,
about that.
absolutely.
I one of the most visible things in my mind, I think about Oklahoma's softball program.
Yep.
They are one of the few teams I've seen compete that so openly celebrates an earned walk.
Yep.
And 1 to 9, these girls can hit bombs, but they have been taught this is a team at bat. I don't care what your personal numbers are. And I mean, but genuine, like fired up and amped up because they just had a 7 pitch at bat and they wore the pitcher down and they earned a walk. We need to get back to that. And I recognize that the world of Twitter and the world that we live in is completely incongruent with what I just said. But if we can get to that, we can have some fun and we can loosen up here, I think.
I can tell you a personal story. Tyler pitched in Japan, and after one particular game, he said, "Dad, I'm going to tell you the difference between Japanese baseball and Major League Baseball." I'm like, "What's that?" He said, "MLB, there's a lot of selfish at bats. I'm trying to hit a home run. I'm trying to hit a double. Japan, they're trying to purposely foul balls off, or they have a great strike zone awareness because they want to build up the pitch count because
Yes.
they know as a team collectively, if every single hitter makes the pitcher throw 6, 7, 8 pitches, by the fourth, fifth, or sixth inning, that really tough starting pitcher is out. So
Yes.
success as a team creates wins in the
Yes.
win column. So that was something very interesting, that the perception and the perspective that Tyler provided with regard to team at bats. And I think that's applicable here today. The last
Yeah.
one is, and this is a great question, and I don't think that we really delve too deep into this with younger athletes, and that is, what role does goal setting play in helping young athletes feel more confident and less anxious? And how can parents or coaches guide them in setting realistic yet motivating goals?
I love this. And there's a caveat to it. If we measure the right things and they are age appropriate, we can build up the stable confidence I mentioned a few minutes ago. We must focus on the routines and habits and the approach as being the goals, not the number of hits or the ERA, at least not at the younger ages. So, if done correctly, And if parents will genuinely buy in, it's a wonderful way to say, all I care about is that you compete with confidence, and that if a pitch looks good, just try to barrel it up. I don't care if it goes to a glove or not. And the third thing I care about is that you do not hang your head if you don't get the result you wanted. Like, that's the kind of stuff we need to be measuring right now.
I think it's important for parents to really begin to understand communication. Don't force these conversations, but I wouldn't have them in the car after a game or a practice. But if there's a moment and you find yourself in the living room, you're watching television, and your student athlete asks you, something about a big game or a situation that may have occurred, just tell them, hey, buddy, you're going to have a lot more at bats. You're young. You're going to have thousands of at bats, and each and every at bat will be different. It's simply a brick in your foundation of your childhood. And don't look at it as a kind of a expect to win every game or expect to get a hit every at bat. All you're trying to do is be competitive and understand. If you win, you're going to lose somewhere down the line. And if you lose, hey, guess what? Work hard. I'm going to win somewhere down the line. And if you just continue to convey that message, I think young athletes will take a big, deep breath. They'll begin to be more comfortable, and they know that you're not having these wild expectations. They're not letting anybody down. Because at the end of the day, and I think, Tamara, you would agree, the kids really are worried about what is my dad going to think? What is my mom going to think? What's my grandparents? What are my buddies going to think? You just got to get them to understand, as long as you're having fun and you're competing, you're going to have outs, you're going to hit home runs, you're going to have singles, you're going to give up walks, you're going to strike out guys. It's all part of being an athlete. So, Tamara, again, I want to let you tell everybody, how can they get in touch with you on X and with regard to your website?
Yeah, so X is just my full name. And then my website is elitemindsetdevelopment.com. There's a contact button on the bottom. I get the messages immediately. So those are the most direct ways to get in touch. And I welcome questions because I'm still going through it, right? I'm not speaking from an ivory tower removed. Like, I'm in it, and I'm not too proud to share the mistakes I've made.
I encourage parents, you will be absolutely thrilled when you allow somebody like Tamara to kind of gain and give you insight. It'll make your experience as a parent better. It will help your student athlete feel better about themselves. And it's really, truly a way to allow your athletes to decompress and you as parents to decompress, to know we're not all perfect. This is not something where everybody succeeds and everybody gets the scholarship. It's part of the growth as a child from the ages of 8 all the way through college. And I think Tamara can help you with that. Tamara, again, I'm really excited about our Tamara Tuesdays, and I encourage parents, contact Tamara directly. We'll talk about the questions if you give her permission to do so. Keep sending them my way, and we'll continue to do this segment each and every Tuesday. Look forward to next week.
Thanks, Coach. See you soon.